Hello, everyone, and we are finally on Olabisi Johnson, number 247 in the draft. Overall, he was drafted in the seventh round by Minnesota. He's a receiver. He is 6 foot, 204 pounds, ran a 4.51, and is out of Colorado State. So he has a nice quickness and body control that he does pretty well to incorporate into his route running and his releases and on breaks. He has some pretty good quick routes that involve this kind of stuff. He knows how to manipulate corners when able to face them just square up to win with leverage that he works hard to get the leverage and he kind of wins with it when he wants to. And he really does excel at winning leverage at the line of scrimmage as well with head fakes and just jab steps. He'll kind of fake them out. He kind of knows how to play the game a little bit more than the other guy that we drafted, Mitchell. And he has 0 to 60 acceleration to get downfield and just kind of tops out a little bit, hence 4.51. He's quicker than he is fast, but he's far from slow. So that's not bad. And he has clearly practiced footwork and his routes. You can kind of tell by the way you watch him that he puts a lot of time into that kind of stuff. And a lot of that is used to create the passing windows that he can create. And he has very reliable hands and is capable of catching some of those balls with the, a little bit more heat on it. He's got some pretty soft hands, and he's a tough yards after catch runner who will willingly take shots from safeties and kind of fight for that extra yard or two, and is really, really known for just being that work ethic guy within the building of Colorado State. And yeah, he does struggle to sustain the velocity out of his breaks though sometimes, and once his head turns from the quarterback, he kind of slows down a bit, which I would like that to get a little better. He needs to improve with getting and staying flat in order to maintain some leverage on the corners out of his breaks, and struggles to kind of track and establish leverage on downfield throws, although he's very good at it in the short to intermediate game. He's kind of maintaining that through the entirety of downfield throws. Does disappear a little bit and will beat corners at the line, but they sometimes come back into the play because he doesn't properly box them out. So when it comes to down the field, so sometimes it doesn't really go as planned there, and all of a sudden you got a corner with him right again, and that's another one of those kind of issues that I think can be fixed. And he could be a better slot due to possible size concerns. He did run a pretty limited route tree and didn't get much attention down in Fort Collins when Gallup was there. And kind of the ability to run those more complex routes and feel for the zone coverage and evade tacklers after the catch are all kind of question marks since we have such a small sample size and low amount of exposure to him, because once again there were a lot of other people ahead of him until this past year, so this was kind of one of his good years here. And I think he's a gritty, tough wide receiver who could develop into a wide receiver 3 or a wide receiver 4 down the line. Not sure what he is right now, but I think he could make the roster. So I give this a C+ grade. I give Olabisi a C+ grade because I think he's a much better polished receiver than Dillon Mitchell. I think he understands more things, and I think he kind of has maybe not the physical upside, but intangibly, I think he has all of the things that will make him stay in the league, as where Dillon Mitchell's kind of a boomer bust kind of guy. So I think this is a C+ to a B kind of grade just because of that. And he could potentially push Treadwell, I think, because once again, I think we're talking about a guy that understands routes better and leverage better as a whole than when we talk about Treadwell, who has had some drop issues, some route issues. He can't really separate all that well. I don't think he really has those issues in that short to intermediate range, at least, as where Treadwell seems to have that in all areas of the field where that's a problem. So I'm also grouping the Air Force long snapper into this just because I don't know if I can make a whole video on a long snapper. But Austin Cutting, long snapper out of Air Force. Hard to tell with long snappers. He is out of Air Force, so I don't know if that means he has to, because there's a commitment, there's a military commitment that's beyond the whole football thing. Which good for him. Glad he's doing it because they do it voluntarily. It's all the military stuff, but the grade for him, as far as this goes, I guess if he's the starting long snapper and we cut McDermott, I guess it's an A. I assume he would be the long snapper if he can actually play and they find a way to get him to play while also fulfilling duties, or if he just however that works out. But I guess it's an F, as if they can't get all that worked out and all of a sudden, oh no, we just wasted this draft pick, but it's also a 7th-round draft pick. So, because I assume, once again, if you draft a long snapper, that's your long snapper. So, if he can play, it's an A, just because he's your starting long snapper. You got a starting player, technically, at, in the 7th round, in the late stages at 250. But still kind of a grain of salt, that, because long snapper position, but glad he's doing the whole Air Force thing. Military is very important. Do it voluntarily. All that, But anyway, till next time, bid y'all adieu.